Welcome to the Makinatsu court case. This has been kind of teased for the last several weeks, but it is officially happening. All right, this is going to function in sort of like an Ace Attorney style presentation. So Makinatsu is being charged with a few crimes, being charged with cheating in chess, charged with ban evading, and having multiple alts. Multiple alts being both in Discord and on chess.com. The cast of characters today is me, the judge. All right, I will be kind of coordinating everything and kind of ruling whether or not an objection works. I know nothing about law, only what I've seen on TV, so we'll try to do the best to make this as entertaining and fair as possible. Our defendant today is Makinatsu. He is the one being charged with all of these crimes. The defense attorney for Makinatsu, judging that Makinatsu is innocent, is going to be Demon HMY. Our first witness is going to be Derpole, one of my mods. I, myself, am going to be the second witness. Even though I am the judge, we'll make it work. The third witness will be Zigzy, who is not currently here, but hopefully they do show up. We do have a fourth witness of Andre. There's not going to be like a special overlay for him, but he will be brought in for questioning. And then finally, our prosecutor, Tog. Tog has set up a bunch of evidence of why Makinatsu should not be allowed back into the channel. So the entire point of this court case is to decide whether or not Makinatsu should be able to play in events that I host here, be allowed in the Discord, and be able to be a part of the community. Frankly, all sides have put quite a lot of effort into this, and I'm hoping it goes by very smoothly. But it is now time to officially start with our opening statement from the prosecution. The defendant needs to plea, Your Honor. Oh yeah, what does the defendant plea? What does the defendant plea? Your Honor, I'm asking for your plea. What do you plea? I forgot about pleas. I'm gonna be so real. Posture check, thank you. What's the plea? Are you pleading guilty? Are you pleading no contest? What are you doing? If you plead no contest, I'm like, what's the point? I'm like, great, we set all of this stuff up and hydrate. Thank you. Guilty on cheating outside of TheCager related events, guilty on ban evading, and guilty on multiple alts. Okay, so you're pleading guilty on pretty much everything above. You're just trying to provide some justification of why they should be let back onto the channel. Let's begin with the opening statement from our prosecution of Tog. Here we go. I would like to start with asking all of you a question. How many times is too many? How many times can a user be banned for you to say, okay, that's too many? 1, 2, 3? Well, this user has been banned 4 times and is currently on their 5th account. That is simply too many. How can we trust someone like this? Not only do they continue to make new chess.com accounts that end up being banned, but they are also making many Discord accounts and trying to fly under the radar and deceive others. They are hoping we will not detect them and that they can go unnoticed, and it's not working. I would like to ask the defense, do you claim all of these accounts as your own? These are the chess.com accounts. We have 128 bits trenchcoat banned. Words by Tennis Nibbled Sandbits banned. The Mechanical Fish banned. Spell Chess GPT banned. And Jewel General Smurf. On their Discord, we have Makinatsu, Quadruple Precision Float, Jumping Atomic Queen, and NVIDIA GeForce RTX. Do you agree that these are all of the alt accounts? If not, hold your peace, and I'm going to continue. Not all of them, but most of them I agree, Your Honor. Okay, we can get into the nitty-gritty later. That's fine. All right. So while you all form an opinion about this case, I would like you all to think about the type of person you would like to have in this server. Ask yourself, do you want someone who cheats? Do you want someone who plays unfairly? Or do you want someone you can actually trust? A great opening statement by Tog himself. All right, I will now prepare the defense's opening statement. Opening statement from the defense. Your Honor, members of the court, the defense does not stand before you today to claim that Makinatsu has made no mistakes. He has. My client admits to cheating outside of TheCager-related events, creating alternative accounts, and engaging in smurfing to some extent. He does not seek to erase those actions or avoid responsibility for them. However, This case must distinguish between wrongdoing that occurred outside of Cager-related competitions and cheating within Cager's events themselves. There is no cheating by Makinatsu in any Cager's related event before this court. The punishment should therefore reflect what he actually did rather than what he is accused of doing. Furthermore, my client has repeatedly faced harassment and pressure from the prosecutor, Tog is here, despite the absence of evidence establishing that he cheated in Cager's events. Whatever disagreements exist between the parties, repeated harassment should not be allowed to become a substitute for evidence. Most importantly, Makinatsu recognizes the harm caused by his actions. He sincerely regrets creating so many alternate accounts, deceiving members of the community, and particularly breaking the trust that Cager placed in him. He understands that trust is not something that can simply be demanded back. It must be earned through accountability and better conduct. The defense therefore asks this court to consider the full circumstances of the case. My client should be held accountable for the wrongdoing he actually committed, but he should not be punished for conduct that he did not commit. Given his regret, his willingness to acknowledge his mistakes, and the fact that he did not cheat in Cager's related events, we respectfully ask the court to show leniency and pardon him, or at the very least impose a proportional and reasonable punishment. This is not a request to excuse his mistakes. It is a request for fair judgment. Thank you, Your Honor. A great opening statement by Demon HMY. It is now time to kind of go into the evidence-based part. Tog, if you could go ahead and either, what would you like to do first? Would you like to present some evidence, or would you like to go into some witness testimonies? Evidence. We are waiting patiently for the evidence to be presented. For now, we will take a glass of water. So our first piece of evidence from Tog is going to be, honestly, most of my evidence is just the fact that Makinatsu has obviously been banned by chess.com on multiple occasions. I have so-called testimonies from chess.com, and additionally, the fact that the defense admits to wrongdoings. During this time, I like if we could settle this debate on which accounts are his before we go further, because I feel like this is important to discuss TheCager. These are, he forgot to say, Your Honor, ban him now. These are the list of alts from our knowledge. We have Alan Pecker, NVIDIA GeForce RTX, Joule General, Spell Chess GPT, and Double Precision Float. I don't believe that this is the complete list, though. I do not believe that this is the complete list. Your Honor, the defense would like to respond to that by disclosing all the alternate accounts of Makinatsu to show that he truly wants a new start. But I do believe that there are quite a bit of I'm going to be honest, I think there are more alts than this. Is NVIDIA Makinatsu? Yes. Joule General and Spell Chess GPT is Makinatsu? Yes. A lot of these accounts are Makinatsu. I believe these are just the chess accounts, possibly. And this does not include the Discord alts. Demon HMY says, Your Honor, let's compare his list to mine and discuss. I think that would be important before proceeding further. This is Tog's list. We have 128 bits Trenchcoat, Word Bites, Nibbles, and Sandbits, Mechanical Fish. These are not ones that are listed in the evidence list. That means Alan Pecker is a new discovery. Alan Pecker was another account that was banned as well. All right, there are more alts. So we're counting probably 8 to 9 alts currently. So we have a disagreement, it seems. And I thought it was an alt, and now we are fully aware that it is, in fact, an alt. Your Honor, I'd like the evidence by the prosecution proving that these accounts are the alternate accounts of my client Makinatsu. Do you have any evidence suggesting that these are the alt accounts? So Tog, can you prove that 128 bits Trenchcoat, Word Bites, Nibbles, and Bits, and the Mechanical Fish are alt accounts for Makinatsu? Tog, please go ahead and present your evidence. I think it should be stipulated pursuant to the guilty plea. I don't even know what that means. Can be more 10 accounts banned. Incomplete evidence. Here. The defendant is not honest about how many alts he has, and yet he wishes to stay in this channel. Your Honor. Yes, always say Your Honor, or else you will be banned permanently. Do I have time to search and provide this evidence? You should have it at the ready. If not, we are going to move on and put it into Demon HMY's hands. Demon HMY is saying, so you're saying you listed these accounts without the evidence, which is currently seeming to be the case. If there is no evidence currently here, then, we need to see it. 1 second. I have evidence. Okay. While Tog is going to provide his evidence, we are going to go and talk to Demon HMY. Demon HMY, you can, hold on, wait, objection. Objection from Demon HMY. We officially do have an objection. Demon HMY, what are you saying? Demon HMY, he is making a mockery of this room of court by listing these accounts and not submitting his evidence beforehand. Demon HMY makes a very good point here. Tog has just simply listed off multiple things, multiple alt accounts, but does not actually have any proof that these alt accounts are related to Makinatsu. Your Honor, I demand that we proceed with the case. Demand accepted, I suppose. So we can, in fact, proceed with the case. Demon HMY, how would you like to continue? Your Honor, can we see the alts again? I could show the technical alts. These are what Tog is claiming. These extra 3 accounts they do not have evidence right now for 128 bits trenchcoat and the mechanical fish. These are proven alt accounts. The Discord accounts are all proven. Jumping Atomic Queen is a proven alt. These are proven alts. But the chess.com ones are kind of the more important ones here. The defense pled guilty to multiple counts already. Why would we need to have evidence at this point? Because he's going to provide justification of why he kind of made these alt accounts. Just argue that he should still be let into the channel. Tog says, Your Honor, I have found evidence. Nope. Tog, you are not allowed. It is Demon HMY's turn to speak. It is Demon HMY's turn to speak for 128 bits trenchcoat forwarded. Tog, we will talk about that later. It is Demon HMY's turn. You cannot object here. Demon HMY, what would you like to say? Your Honor, I want to present my evidence showing that Tog is here harassed multiple people. All right. It is time to go into Demon HMY's list of evidence of Tog is here's harassment of Makinatsu, okay? Including my client, Makinatsu. Tog actually harassing multiple people, not just Makinatsu. So here are the list of alt accounts that we have discussed before. Tog harassing Makinatsu and other people's evidence. It is a little bit difficult to see, but I'll go ahead and read it out. There are different people who get affected by anything unlike you. Tog said, lol, I used to be sensitive, but Discord kind of gave me thick skin. I can be affected by words in the internet. Tog said, okay, that message was not so tough, especially accusations. Tog is here. That sounds like a you problem with a broken heart. That's kind of wild. That's just me, so please. Tog says, I generally don't understand what a cheating accusation in online chess can do to mentally hurt a person. I mean, there's a lot of cases where I can think of one pretty big case of where cheating accusations can lead down a pretty dark path. Gonna be so honest, Tog. I won't verbally say it, but I'm fairly certain. We have objection. Tog is objecting the relevance of talking about Tog harassing people. I am personally going to overrule this objection purely for the fact that the harassment from Tog did incentivize Makinatsu to the creation of these other accounts. If Tog was not harassing, I do not believe that Makinatsu would have made all of these accounts. But there's also the argument that technically this is not relevant. I don't think him harassing other people is relevant to the case of Makinatsu. So I'm probably going to overrule the evidence relating to other people other than Makinatsu. Tog is here talking to Makinatsu saying, hi, I'm back and wanted to apologize. So this is in response to Makinatsu's apology statement. Tog is here. Don't care. Fuck off. We're sworn enemies. To be fair, I'm half joking and I half hate you, just like with King Takes E4. Tog says, bro, you've been banned on every account you've started and you still haven't stopped cheating, laughing, crying emoji. Demon HMY says, Your Honor, Tog is here has shown a pattern of harassing people without providing evidence. Here's another message from Tog. All right, time to discuss. To be fair, just because Parth lost, it doesn't mean he didn't cheat. Everyone knows I'm the one to beat. It wouldn't surprise me if he cheated in any games, but cheated in these games, but not the others. Here's another thing kind of unrelated. I believe this is an accusation against General CR7, but it is not technically related to the trial of Makinatsu. Well, I've never cheated in my life. Will I cheat? Cheating. Cheaters always have the longest explanation. All right, time to read this. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. The opponent hanging all their pieces in 5 seconds. But this is not related to, this is for another case. So I will have to go to the next one. Here's another chat log between Tog and Makinatsu. Zigzy saying, most sensible people have been closed for cheating, will apologize, and then try to make it up by being genuine chess players or just leave completely. Tog said, yeah, for real. Makinatsu says, and how did you react to such players? Non-stop harassment. Tog said, the cycle of Makinatsu. Cheat, get banned, apologize profusely, cheat again. Correct, I harass cheaters. Your Honor, I'd like to use this evidence to show how we affect mental health of other people in the server. So Demon HMY is arguing that this evidence of Tog harassing Makinatsu is affecting his mental health and making him more likely to basically make these alt accounts, and it's just not a good negative space. But I do believe that this is unrelated to the current Makinatsu accusations, but it is providing some justification of why Makinatsu may provide or may act in the way that he does. He might be a grown-up, and I think it doesn't matter, but some people do get affected by it. Demon HMY is saying, I'd like to call my witness Andre, who also got harassed by Tagas here. And just because Andre defeated Tagas here. So we are calling Andre to the stand to justify kind of Tog's harassment. I will let this go through, even though it is still relevant in a sense to the case. Your Honor, I'm going to read some chat. Your Honor, Tog didn't say I harass you. It says I harass cheaters, and that means Makinatsu is a cheater. I guess Tog reports 57 people and gets 5 people banned in July, and reports 50 people and gets 2 of them banned. So not a good record. Also funny. Makaru Nakamura, Your Honor, harassment of Tog, if it could even be called harassment, has nothing to do with cheating accusations of Makinatsu. Catalyst says, and he doesn't harass those 50 guys. He just reported them. He just reported them since he was suspicious. He only harasses those who have evidence against. Tog is actually objecting real quick. We're going to the witness questioning, where I will bring Andre possibly. Tog is objecting to question the credibility of the witness in this case. Demon HMY says, Your Honor, I'd like to add my witness, Andre. I would also like to request time to speak against this evidence, Your Honor, TheCager. You will have your moment, Tog. After we do the Andre witness presentation, we will switch it back over to you, Tog. All right, there you go, Andre. You will be typing in the Discord channel or in the actual Twitch chat. Demon HMY, what is your line of questioning? What questions do you want to ask Andre? Andre, I would like you to take the court through what happened during the games you played against Tagas here. So I basically destroyed him in 4-0 in 1 rapid game in 3 blitz games, Your Honor. Awesome. Following these games, were you accused of cheating by Tagas here? Following these games, did they accuse? Andre is saying, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Tog accused me in cheating, for cheating in the Discord. Demon HMY, what if anything did Tagas here provide to support these accusations? Some evidence? Demon HMY asks if Tog provided evidence. Your Honor, Andre is taking time. I understand. He tried to, but he hadn't enough of what to say. I'm 100% cheater, Your Honor. All right. I believe that is enough question. Did you actually, Demon HMY, did you ever actually get caught cheating in those games or received any confirmed finding that you had cheated? All right. I think we understand the line of questioning, Demon HMY. I'm going to go ahead and overrule this, and I'm going to object and move to Tog's evidence. So we're going back to Tog's evidence, and he can now speak. Your Honor, just a minute. Okay, Demon HMY, I will give you a minute to make your case. HMY, how did the repeated accusations and harassments affect you personally, particularly given your age? I'm giving you a minute. Andre, you have a chance to respond. If not, we're going to go straight to Tog's evidence. Objection, age is irrelevant, Your Honor. I think age is very much relevant. If you're saying to go fuck yourself to a 12-year-old, that's going to hurt the 12-year-old quite a bit. I'm going to be honest. It ruined my day because I thought everyone was going to think I'm a cheater because of him since his VIP here or something, Your Honor. All right. Arguing that since Tog is a VIP and a representative of the channel, that his accusations, whether or not they were false or not, do damage his reputation. That is fair. But still, within the ages of like 14 to 18, I could still see how that could be damaging. I think we are going to go into Tog's evidence now. Thank you, Andre, for providing your testimony. All right. It is now time for Tog's evidence. If you can go ahead and provide it, and we will get that up. This is his current evidence. Basically providing that his alt account is playing. But how does this prove that it was related to Makinatsu? Is that evidence? I ask that all of this evidence be taken account on all of these accounts. He is playing in an arena clearly. And please overrule the defense. And in small arenas, people get paired with each other again and again, Your Honor. Tog is saying, Your Honor, it proves that he played in every game except these games. Look who he played when aborting. Look who he played when aborting. I don't necessarily... But the thing is, you still have to relate whether or not these 2 accounts are related to Makinatsu. That is the issue. I do not necessarily know if Makinatsu is related to these accounts. He claimed all of these accounts. We have, hold on. Objection. We have an objection by Demon HMY. He only provided the accounts he used in the Discord server. Your Honor, here's the evidence. One's closed for fair play, and that was before I got the current one approved. The other one was abuse. So this is some evidence from Tog relating to whether or not Demon H or Makinatsu are these accounts. Tog listed 3 of these accounts: 128 Bits Trenchcoat, Words by Nibbles and Bits, and here is Makinatsu agreeing that these were his accounts, and these were not originally listed in Makinatsu's evidence slide for his accounts. He did not include 128 Bits Trenchcoat. He did not include Words by the Nibbles and Bits. He did include Spellchest GPT, and this is him confirming that these are his. Your Honor, these accounts he used in the Discord server. Your Honor, here's evidence. Your Honor, I object this is unrelated. Objection overruled. Demon H and Y. This is very relevant. These are chess accounts, and Makinatsu is agreeing with them. Your Honor, but he never used his accounts in this server. That is kind of a little bit irrelevant because he did actually use these accounts, maybe not for any events, but I have played against 128-bit Trenchcoat. 128-bit Trenchcoat actually was in a Cager Chess Championship. I do have memory of 128 bits being in a Cager Chess Championship, 100%. I only provide on the accounts he used on the server, and therefore, since Word Nibbles and Bits is one of his accounts, that shows that Mechanical Fish is also one of the accounts. So his previous evidence relating here for the Mechanical Fish playing against Word by Nibbles and Bits, you see how once these 2 accounts were paired with each other, the game was auto-aborted, essentially, because they are the same people. This is now relating Word Bytes, Nibbles, and Bits to Mechanical Fish, which is another Makinatsu alt account. Your Honor, he did tell me these were his accounts, and I can show you the evidence, but I think these were irrelevant. Tog is saying, why did you not provide that when you had the opportunity? Demon HMY has sent me a screenshot. 128 bits and Word Bytes. These were the accounts. And another issue that I have here is we have a Zigzy objection, actually. A Zigzy objection. Objection! Whoa, Zigzy, what's your objection? Coming out of left field. What does Zigzy have to say? Zigzy says, Your Honor, the fact that they are both his accounts and they are playing each other and aborting its evidence enough. Zigzy said, under the chess.com rules, this is illegal. Yes. Now, I will say, Makinatsu has already pleaded guilty to all of the cheating and alt account accusations, but they did not list all of the alt accounts that have actually been used and closed for fair play. Your Honor, the defense would like a 5-minute break. Tog says, objection, Your Honor. Demon says to provide all the accounts, whether in this server or not. That objection is going to get overruled by me. I believe that in your opening statement with your Makinatsu evidence slide, that you did say list of keyword all of Makinatsu alts, all right? And you did not list all of the alts. So you had your chance to list all of them. I even asked Makinatsu himself at one point for his alts, and that was not given. Tog said, objection, Your Honor. This should have been done beforehand. I agree. And now they're trying to provide them after the accusation came out. I agree with Tog here. I do believe that once this was actually justified, once evidence was actually provided for these other alt accounts, now they are saying, let's provide more evidence. There is a repeated pattern of behavior from January all the way up to nearly August of making these alt accounts and playing on them. A lot of them have been closed for fair play, so this is repeated behavior. If you take in evidence that wasn't submitted in time, shouldn't the defense get time to answer for them? That is also true. Severy does actually make a very good point. Your Honor, I'd like prosecution to continue with his case. Okay. Additionally, Your Honor, I have further evidence to provide in relation to harassment. Your Honor, it's a known act. Makinatsu did cheat. A known fact that Makinatsu did cheat. That is true. We do, in fact, know that Makinatsu cheated. And the entire argument for this case is whether or not Makinatsu should be given forgiveness and if he is able to change. All right. That is currently what we're doing. Tog is now saying we're now continuing with the evidence for Tog is here. He's saying, additionally, Makinatsu has claimed, so I've had enough and went undercover to end the harassment. But even this claim can be refuted due to the fact that alternate accounts were created long before I ever met him. Word Bytes, Nibbles, and Bits, and the Mechanical Fish were created on the same day, January 26th. I did not join the Discord server until March 20th, thus completely refuting this claim. And then provided both of the accounts. Tog says, Your Honor, adding the Your Honor after the statement. We have an objection by Demon HMY. Your Honor, I object. The prosecutor is admitting to harassment of my client. That is objection overruled. that is irrelevant to what we are currently talking about. We're trying to discuss whether or not the repeated behavior is something that can change with Makinatsu. All right. Even though the harassment was there. Makinatsu wants to speak. I will provide Makinatsu the opportunity to speak. Objection not stated. Yes, he admitted to this repeated behavior. So Demon HMY said that that Makinatsu has admitted to this repeated behavior. Tog said objection not stated. I believe that it was in fact stated at one point. Demon HMY says we pleaded guilty for this behavior on your honor. Demon HMY, I agree with you. So that is not an objection from Tog because they did plead guilty to the use of alts. But Makinatsu, Demon HMY is saying my client claims that this was unrelated to TheCager. I have had a history of cheating, but ever since roughly 5 months ago, I have attempted to quit. Attempted to quit is kind of a crazy thing to say. The catalyst, Your Honor, harassment is irrelevant to justifications of why he cheated. If this was a motive, then it is completely stupid. Fair. I mean, fair take. But I am giving him the opportunity to try and justify his actions. All right. Even though there are some cases of cheating, it was also the case where Makinatsu, I believe, was arguing that he was cheating to close these accounts in order to give back the rating of the accounts that he was playing. But I have yet to see that come up in the trial. Demon HY is saying he attempted to quit in the past, but now he's completely clean. Tog is saying objection. We have an objection by Tog on whether or not Makinatsu is completely clean. If there is evidence suggesting that Makinatsu has cheated within the last probably month or two, this court case, I think, will kind of be completely set in stone. Demon HY says, provide the evidence of your objection. All right, we will wait for Tog's evidence to show up. All right, we have more evidence from cheating. This is evidence provided by Tog regarding the alt account Spellchest GPT from June 13th. So this was 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago. And it is the Spellchest GPT account that got closed for fair play. And here are crazy high percentages of 93%, 93%, 91%, and so on. The account was closed for fair play. So this is very close. So Tog provided evidence. Tog said 2 months ago, he clearly has not learned, Your Honor. Demon HMY says unrelated, Your Honor, overruled. Tog says and continues to cheat. Demon HMY says 2 months ago. Tog said he said a month or two. Demon HMY says objection, Your Honor. Demon HMY says we have listed Spellchest GPT as an alternate account, which so clearly cheated. Tog said also, Your Honor, can we just remind the jury that Makinatsu has been banned on 4 accounts, all provided evidence for TheCager. Demon HMY says, Your Honor, I'd like to address the fact that my client never ever cheated in TheCager related events. Tog says objection irrelevancy. Is that irrelevant? Is whether or not they cheated in TheCager based events, is that a relevant objection? Zigzy is saying, Zigzy is objecting. Zigzy is actually the one objecting, saying that he has and saying that he did. Zigzy, do you have evidence to support that? He did cheat in a TheCager event. If I will say, if we do find out that Makinatsu cheated in a TheCager event, I will kind of pull the plug on this. Because I can't have that. I'm not going to give graces for that. There was another guy, Chess Novice Brother, if you remember him, who cheated in a TheCager's event. Because there is kind of a prize to it with a sub. If there is proof whether or not Makinatsu cheated in a TheCager event, I will kind of make the judgment that it will be banned. Demon HMY said, I'd like to call the prosecution witness Zigzy to the case. Stand. Okay. We are calling Zigzy to the stand. We are calling Zigzy to the stand. Demon HMY, you have time to speak to Zigzy. Demon HMY, you can ask your questions. I have called Zigzy to the stand. Zigzy says 128 bits trenchcoat played in a CCC event. Did he not? 128 bits trenchcoat did in fact play in an earlier CCC. And that account was closed for fair play. But the argument is whether or not that account cheated in that event. We do not know if 128 bits trenchcoat actually did cheat in that account. Now, you could argue that because 128 bits trenchcoat had an ELO of around 200 to 300, that ELO smurfing is technically cheating, as their pairings would have been easier. Demon HMY is now asking Zigzy, Zigzy, tell us what happened during the games Makinatsu account Jewel General played you. Zigzy is asking what games Jewel General played against you. All right, because I remember after Jewel General played, there was some allegations regarding Zigzy accusing Jewel General of either smurfing or cheating. TheCager cheating in CCC is worse than just cheating on chess.com. That's insane logic, Your Honor. It's relevant if the account was played like 5 or 6 months ago and they cheated then. Because like, I am all for giving second chances. I have given people second chances. This is multiple second chances. I'm going to be honest. But so Jewel General was an 800 elo chess player. We were matched up in a Cager tournament. Was Jewel General ever closed? I do agree that Jewel General was in fact smurfing because their elo is kind of unknown. I have no idea what their elo is. By the way, an argument for this kind of trial is whether or not we should permanently ban Makinatsu or give them a punishment. Because there's no way that they're getting away scot-free. I'm telling you that right now. They won't play at any CCCs for a good long while. Gonna be real with you. Do you have any date, Your Honor? I don't. It was a very long time ago. I don't think I can actually pull up a date. Here is the evidence that Zigzy is providing of the 3 games in against Jewel General. And you can clearly see that Zigzy did lose 2 of those games. Catalyst is saying Makinatsu has had more than 3 chances. I don't think he should keep being benevolent to such repeat offenders. Your Honor, if someone cheats in a CCC or even chess.com and has been getting banned multiple times on different accounts, I agree. Your Honor, apologizing doesn't mean he's going to stick to his words and cheat in the next CCC event already. With one of these specific games, there was a blunder by Zigzy where he did blunder a queen fork and he lost. And then that is kind of after, then the allegations kind of started. Was it CCC or an arena, Your Honor? I believe that this was an arena. Okay, a queen fork is legit though, Your Honor. Zigzy, did you not blunder a simple... That is a leading question. Demon HMY, you did lead the question. With Zigzy, did you not blunder a simple fork, which led you to lose the queen? Your Honor, I'd like to show you my evidence of this fork. Zigzy, I'd like to draw attention to the moves list. We're putting up the moves list for Zigzy. We're arguing whether or not Spellchess GPT and alt account of Makinatsu cheated against Zigzy during an official Cager Chess Championship event. If this were the case, then probably set in stone. I would like to again state that he was supposedly 800 elo. Demon HMY is saying, Your Honor, the evidence of the queen fork is presented in the evidence documents. Tog says, Your Honor, the fork should be disqualified as evidence. Zigzy said, now you can see the moves list. There is 14 moves of theory, and the account was supposed to be 800. But Zigzy wanted to provide his evidence. I did not we skipped over the fork. I'm going to be honest. This should be thrown out. All right, we are actually going to throw out this evidence of Zigzy blundering. But the main argument was that Zigzy was playing against Jewel General, who played a perfect theory. Okay? So it should be thrown out. Your Honor, please open the evidence list of mine. Demon HMY, I am going to object that this evidence is relevant. All right? I do not believe a simple queen fork will be relevant. Essentially, Demon HMY says that his client learned all of this theory for these games, specifically this move order, that Makinatsu learned all of this from a YouTube video, which honestly, okay. Tog is saying that Honor objecting the irrelevancy of it. You can neither prove nor disprove whether or not he actually learned the theory from a YouTube video. Going to be so real with you, so that evidence is kind of completely rejected. If I can show you the eval bar, you see it doesn't go below -3. Okay, Tog wants to show his evidence. We're going to attempt to do so. Your Honor, do we have timestamps for every move? We kind of do a little bit. But okay, Zigzy, go ahead and start a phone call, and I will try to get this. And we'll go over the specific game between Tog and Spellchess GPT. I do think that me personally, I have kind of come to a verdict, but we will let the chat kind of vote. So this is the evidence for Zigzy going through the Jewel General game, where we are alleging that Jewel General did cheat by knowing excellent theory. We do have it pulled up. This will be the last witness statement from Zigzy, and then we might go to the other ones. Jewel General is playing with black. So far, perfect theory. And from this point, blundering the queen fork. So we do see the queen fork happen. And then the rest of the game, it was -3 up until the end. So what you're arguing is that Spellcheck GPT closed out the game and that it was cheating because they did not give up any advantage. Jojo is saying winning a queen up is easy, Your Honor. Basically, he smurfed or cheated. And arguing that all of these were the best or second best move. Can we look at the time control? Your Honor, the most recent event of Makinatsu cheating is when NVIDIA played you live and spent the same amount of time on every move. It wasn't bot behavior, and I don't know what it is. You had no idea during the game. Let's go through the time. All right. Let's see how long they spent on every move. Just real quick, go ahead and click through it for me, okay? So they're playing with the black pieces. Yep. We can see the times on the right side, Zigzy. If you could just like scroll down. So we're seeing a range from 3 seconds to 8 seconds for pretty much every move. It does fluctuate quite a bit. After the game, all the moves were made in roughly around the same time, about 2 to 3 seconds. But they spent some time in the middle game. I don't believe that this is enough evidence to suggest that Jewel General was cheating in this game. I am making that argument. I do not believe that Jewel General was cheating in this game. I think that was a fair game to play up a queen. I don't necessarily think otherwise. They did kind of lock in and play better. I do agree that they are 100% smurfing. Their account is not 800 rated, but I do not believe they were cheating. Cheaters will always use the same time gaps, Your Honor. You say, hold on. Yeah, they don't always use the same time gaps, but they are decently close. Tog is wanting to suggest further. Yeah, but DMHMY is saying that we have pleaded guilty to smurfing. So it is kind of not argumentative, but unreasonable to bring up the Zigzy. Like, we were just seeing if Spellcheck GPT was cheating in that game, and it did not see that he was. Tog, I'm going to go ahead and let you continue presenting your evidence. All right. You are going to continue presenting your evidence, and then we will kind of close the court case out. We do not know what his real ELO is. All right. What will we do after this trial? Jackbox? Yeah, probably Jackbox. And I kind of have a ruling that will help us figure out what his real ELO is before I can let him play in any events. Demon HMY says, Your Honor, we would like 5-minute break to discuss a deal with the prosecution. Demon HMY is wanting to essentially adjourn the case for 5 minutes and kind of discuss a plea deal. But Tog wants to present some evidence before that happens. Tog says Jewel General is in the under 1700 sections. He should have never been in this section because he has been 1800 rapid on previous accounts. He should have admitted his rating was higher than 1700 and therefore cheated in a CCC by lying and deceiving TheCager of his rating. Demon HMY is arguing, Your Honor, I object to this. He never won an under 1700 CCC, but he did come second in the full open. All right. But Tog does not want to discuss the deal just yet. Your Honor, I would also like to provide evidence that Makinatsu admits to not knowing his own rating. Here's a clip from Makinatsu saying, stats count, lol, fair. By the way, what's your actual ELO? Because you have like 1 million accounts. Makinatsu says, I don't know. All I can tell you is that I'm stronger than Depole and weaker than Tog. So that puts him in like the 1400 to 2400 range. Zigzy said, I'd also like to state he joined the next tournament with his new alt account of Alan Pecker. That's actually a very good point. When we were running the TheCager Chess Championship qualifiers, he was playing underneath Alan Pecker as an 1828. And when Alan did end up winning one of these events, I barred him from getting the ticket. That is a very good point. I was like, Alan Pecker, I'm fairly certain you are an alt account, and I did not give him a ticket. So right here is an example of him using an alt account and winning an event. Demon HMY said, Your Honor, I'd like Zigzy to get kicked out of the courtroom, as without objecting, he's just sending screenshots, and he is not the prosecutor. He's an eyewitness only, and he's currently on the stand. That is also true. Your Honor, we would like a break to discuss a deal with the prosecution. We will have a break. We will have a 5-minute break. No more evidence will be presented, and we're going to discuss a deal. Okay? We're going to discuss a deal, and then we'll have chat vote whether or not the deal is fair. That is what we will do from now on. I'm going to offer Demon HMY a plea deal. I'll kind of go through it in a second. And then we will have the chat vote on whether or not this final verdict Demon HMY is saying, Your Honor, 40 days, my client can't play in the CCC. My counter argument is that Makinatsu should play 300 Blitz games and be barred from the CCC for 90 days. And I'm arguing that he needs to play with one account. Tog is saying, we both know Makinatsu won't even be able to play this many games before being banned again, Your Honor. But if he manages to prove himself of 300 Blitz games and not playing in the CCC for 3 months, then he will be allowed back in. Demon HMY is trying to argue for 50 days. I can meet for 80 days, and that will be it. Demon HMY is arguing that Jewel General will be his main account, which is like his current alt account. Objection, this is a Smurf account, Your Honor, and that's why I'm giving him 300. He has to play 300 Blitz games. Because I don't think Makinatsu actually just has a main account. He has a bunch of random accounts. I think the sentence should be 100 cigarettes in 24 hours.
500 cigarettes.
Catalyst is saying, Your Honor, he plays his accounts against themselves. That's match fixing and rated manipulation. If you look at Alan Pecker's games before the CCC qualifiers. Also true, the Catalyst. That is actually a pretty good point. I do remember that being a case. I just wanted to figure out if he's cheating or smurfing. Oh, he's cheating and smurfing. He's doing all the things. Geezer Guest is saying 90 days is fine. Luffy says, when am I going to be able to play in a CCC? Luffy, you're a different case. He will get banned if he keeps on accusing people in the general. If this is something I'm saying right here to Tog, okay? I'm saying this to you. If you send another screenshot about another person who has joined the Discord, if you send it in the general in any thread on TheCager's official Discord accusing somebody of cheating, I will permanently ban you from both Twitch and the Discord. Demon HMY is saying that his client has accepted his faults. Your Honor, I'd like to call my client Makinatsu to the stand then. All right, Makinatsu is being brought to the stand. This is going to be the final line of questioning. All right, Demon HMY says, first the prosecution can ask their questions, then I'll ask mine, Your Honor. All right. So Tog, you are able to ask your questions. We are having Tog ask Makinatsu questions right now. Questions officially being asked. It is time for Makinatsu to answer. First question from Tog. Makinatsu, do you have a main account? You have stated multiple times you do not know your own rating. Therefore, are you admitting that you have not played on any account that has not been banned shortly after? Makinatsu will answer these questions one by one. Okay, there are 3 questions asked. I will go in order from this, okay? Tog says, Your Honor, I would like to ask that Makinatsu swears under oath as well to know he is being truthful about these questions. So Makinatsu, please swear under oath.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Maybe. Oh, he's so sweaty.
Is that good? He said maybe.
I'm gonna need a yes or a no. C.
Makinatsu's answer to whether or not he has a main account is, for now, Jewel General is my main account. It is the account associated with the community. It is also what people know me as I have played most of my games here. Now, the second question being asked by Tog is, Makinatsu, how many accounts do you truly have? I would like to know all of them. Also, I suggest you should not lie about this because I have found every single one of your accounts. I personally request for you to list every chess.com and Discord account that you have. If I had multiple accounts, I probably couldn't remember them all. I literally only have one account. Makinatsu says, and about my rating, I am being honest that I do not know my rating. I have a baseline where it can go on autopilot, 1400 rapid and under, and there's a peak I need to grind over 2,000 games to reach 2,000 rapid. Need to grind over 2,000 games to reach 2,000 rapid? That's just false. I haven't even played 2,000 games on rapid, and I'm 2,100. Makinatsu is saying, as shown in Word Byte Nibbles and Bits, in one of his alt accounts of his rating with a peak of over 200 or 2,000. So one of Makinatsu's alt accounts got to 2,000. So instead of finding all of the alt accounts right now, it will be a part of the plea deal, or his punishment is to provide all of his alt accounts by a certain date. The third question asked by Tog is, Makinatsu, how do we truly know? How do we know you will be truly remorseful this time? Every time you have claimed to be remorseful, you have made a new account a few days later and then cheated on it again. How do we know that this time is truly different? That is the question that you have to answer right now, Makinatsu. No other question is relevant. That is going to be the final answer. All right, Makinatsu is preparing his final statement. This is his last chance to kind of sway the jury. We're still waiting on Makinatsu's final statement. And you know what that means, guys. Beefsteak break! This is the final statement by Makinatsu that I'm going to go ahead and read. First of all, when I first joined the community, I already had one banned account under my name. I did not know what I was in for at that time, and then quickly regretted having ever cheated before. But I'm not able to change how others view my past and whether I had changed. Because of that, I thought I could go undercover as an improvised attempt to start over fresh and be seen as anybody else. I wanted to stick around. I wanted to change in order to fit in, but it seems that not everyone believes in change in the first place. I'd admit that was a mistake. Secondly, outside of Spell Chest GPT being closed for fair play on purpose, which I realized was a dumb thing to do afterwards, I have not cheated in any of my games for over 4 months, Cager related or not. Thirdly, even though I have many active alts at the moment, I have not been banned for fair play on any of them so far, with around 1,000 combined games in total. That's 1,000 games without getting banned, ever. Compare it with my past accounts and you'll see the contrast. I had made it my goal to be a part of the community with minimal stigma involved after this. Geezer Chess said, no apology there. I vote permaban. Did they apologize? They did say, I'd admit that was a mistake, but I think that was in irrelevance to believes in change in the first place. There is not an apology here. It's a mistake, not an apology. They did not make an apology. I genuinely think that because this has put a lot of mental anguish on myself. He didn't apologize to the community, didn't apologize for the actions that he kind of made. There is no apology being made. That's the important part, especially just apologizing to me. That's also very true. I don't see the need to continue this trial. I think that this is kind of set in stone now. Mainly because this has actually put a lot of stress on myself and kind of has made me question every single new account that has joined my channel and making new alt accounts, talking to me personally about like, hey, I'm going to borrow this account. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll play in the next one. That's totally cool. It's very manipulative in a lot of aspects. I genuinely think that no apology there is very damning. Demon HMY said that was one part of the statement, Your Honor. That was not made clear. Makinatsu says, I have apologized publicly before and I would do it again. TheCager says, objection, that was a final statement. Whatever it said should be voided. Yeah. That was the final statement. Tog is making a very fair point. I'm going to continue reading the rest of the chat. Demon HMY says, I still have my questions I want to ask the defendant, Your Honor. Your Honor, I still have never got the opportunity to ask my questions. Okay. The trial is not concluded. Demon HMY now has to ask a few questions to Makinatsu. All right. Demon HMY will ask a few questions to Makinatsu. Demon HMY says, Your Honor, even the prosecutor agrees with me. Your Honor, let me explain no apology. I had a question for him, apology related. Tog says, objection, we're past that. Objection overruled. Your Honor, I literally said I want to ask my question beforehand. Now, Demon HMY is asking Makinatsu, how did you feel about cheating outside Cager-related events? He because he has apologized in the Discord before, but this was kind of his chance to do it on a stage, and it did not feel apologetic. It was just kind of like, here's why I did it. I won't do it again. That was what the final statement read as. You could simply, like, if you just said, I'm sorry for kind of doing all of this, but they didn't. And now Demon HMY is going to ask Makinatsu some questions, but yeah, and we are going to play Jackbox after this. The thing is, if I let this go on saying that now we want an apology, he's going to bullshit. He's going to make an apology now. And I genuinely think that this trial should be adjourned. I may end the court case. I don't necessarily think giving him one last chance to speak is fair. He had his chance to apologize, to make his final statement, and he did so, and it was not an apology. And now we can kind of retroactively go back and say, no, I am apologizing. I had my questions. I have the fight to it. There, you have the right to it. That is true. But HMYK, you can ask your questions, Makinatsu, but I I will give Makinatsu a chance to type this, and that will be it. I could show my proof if you want. That's fine. Your Honor, start a poll to vote. Okay. Actually, yeah, that I will start a poll to vote right now. Whether or not Makinatsu should be able to answer the question. It is whether does Makinatsu get the chance to ask further questions. It'll be 2 minutes. Go ahead. Tog also needs to give the closing statements, which we will, but we will do this. We'll see if Makinatsu can answer any further questions. If not, we will go directly into the closing statements, and we will do that. Okay, so this is Makinatsu's answers. Demon HMY asked, how did you feel about cheating outside Cager-related events? Makinatsu said, every time I was cheating, I was essentially living in paranoia every morning. It was not something I'd want to do again simply because of how stressful everything was. Makinatsu then said, and after seeing how Cager and everyone were visibly and gradually getting angry as time goes on, I just couldn't afford to watch that happen. I wanted to apologize to Cager and everyone, but when I had the chance to do so, I forgot to do that. I think, regardless of any legal precedent, the journey is adjourned. All right. The court is adjourned. I think that Makinatsu will be permabanned. I know you have your questions, Demon HMY. I think I'm going to go ahead and permaban Makinatsu. I think the event is over. I think the trial has been decided. I do not feel that this apology was enough, especially in the stakes here. I don't think there should be any retrial. I think prison for life. Genuinely, I was living in paranoia of constant people joining in with alts, whether or not a new account was legit, me constantly analyzing every game, me whether or not I should let this person in Cager Championship. And then if I don't let them in, they would complain about it and all that. HMYK, we are objecting. I am objecting. There are going to be no more further questions. The case is closed. The trial is over. Bang, bang. That means that Makinatsu will be permanently banned. All right. The trial is concluded. Tog wants to give closing arguments. I don't think we necessarily need to do that. But I do believe, let him have last words, Zigzy is saying in all caps. Okay, stop asking about Jackbox. All right, please. Geezer Chess saying we're done. I think we're done. I'm making the judgment. The case has concluded. Makinatsu will be permanently banned. We tried to give as much sympathy as we could. We were going to give a trial, but I think the closing statement was probably the most damning part of this trial. So we are done. Mag, just to give you some context, the Cager Chess Championship is like an event that I host every Friday where people play chess and stuff. This is the end of the trial. Makinatsu, the defendant, has pleaded guilty, and they are going to be permanently banned. They did not give enough sympathy. So we're done. So that concludes the trial. Makinatsu will be permanently banned. It is time to go to other things. It is time to go play some Jackbox. All right. We're done.